and what it is we actually aspire to be as a country. To put this simply, we assumed the worst of the British people. But the public responses to the proposed 10p tax, to the economic crisis, the excesses of the bonus culture, to the privatisation of the Royal Mail, they all reveal a different centre to the country. But Labour's lost its language of generosity, of kindness, of community, as it's lost its touch with the enduring character of this country. Britain's culture has never been socialist in the specific ideological sense, but it has always exhibited a strong attachment to an ethic of fairness and solidarity. In neglecting this, we lost our ability to build a politics beyond the market, to mould a radical hope for the country. We've lost our language. I'm always reminded of the term from Erik Erikson, the psychoanalyst, when he describes hope as the basic ingredient of all vitality. Philosopher Raymond Williams once said, "To be truly radical is to make hope possible rather than despair convincing." So where do we begin? Where is the hope going to come from? Let's start some of the big questions. What does it mean to be human? What kind of society do we want to live in? What kind of economy will sustain it? None of the mainstream political parties talk in this manner. They bought into a philosophy of economic liberalism. Human beings are just rationalist, calculating units of economic exchange. The role of government is to help them compete in the market in order to maximise their utility. This dogma has created a brutal language of acquisition and consumption. It has left us with fragmented and unequal society, plagued by antisocial behaviour, loss of trust and loneliness, increased levels of emotional distress. We need to begin with a new idea of the individual. Individuals are social beings, independent, not isolated. A new politics has to be brought out of fellowship and solidarity and a sense of obligation to others. It must recognise people's need for security, to feel a sense of belonging and the experience of respect and self-esteem. To me, the desire to be true to oneself lies deep within our culture. The philosopher Charles Taylor argues that everyone has the right to achieve their own unique way of being human. This is not selfish individualism, it's about a mutual give and take. Your freedom is literally equal to my freedom. We need a politics that makes an emotional connection to people. We need a public service that thrives on an ethic of care. We have to build a civic culture that rewards generosity, a society that values reciprocity over competition. I was reminded when I was listening to Selma when she was talking about liberation theology in my house when I grew up. The political hero wasn't an Aaron Bevan or Barbara Castle, it was Oscar Romero, a liberation theologist from South America. And if I had to sum up what Romero stood for, it was kindness. He once said, "Liberation will arrive only when the poor are the masters of their own struggle for liberation." Literally, it is the kindness of social justice. This politics is not new. It grew out of the 19th century debates between ethical socialism and social liberalism. It's still here. And we should be confident that our own traditions will be part of this future debate. But they need to be renewed to take into account cultural difference, gender equality, and ecological sustainability. It will be a plural politics of alliances. Its core values will be liberty and equality. It will understand that in our differences we share a deep common humanity. Now, we've got 9 months before a possible general election. So let's have an authentic battle between left and right. Let's have an authentic Labour Party, which is literally true to itself. Let's use the fight to build this new language and political ethic. We can start by campaigning around illustrative policies that demonstrate what we stand for. Let's throw a few into play. First, electoral reform, to make votes count. Renewed political democracy. We need a voting system that empowers the majority, full stop. Second, basic economic democracy. The debate around the new post bank was instructive here. We should be obligating the banks to provide, through a new post bank, decent financial products to all the people, literally a new universal banking obligation. Third, we should start a crusade in terms of the housing market. 5 million people in need of social housing in this country today. We should have a crusade to build houses quickly. Fourth, we should cancel Trident, an unaffordable diplomatic virility symbol. Introduce a new covenant with the military to improve the working lives of our service men and women. Provide excellent mental health care, support for our veterans, paid for getting rid of this hangover from the Cold War. Fifth, let's scrap ID cards. Use the money to free communities suffering from the scourge of gangs, drugs and lawlessness. Improve frontline policing, build youth outreach schemes, expand restorative justice programs. Sixth, close down tax havens now. A progressive taxation system for a more equal distribution of income and wealth. 7, quite simply, cancel the third runway at Heathrow, commit Britain to an unprecedented civil mobilisation against global warming. 8, devolve power to local authorities, give local authorities the power to issue bonds and raise money on the capital markets. 9, commit to a fair employment contract in all public contracts. Use the power of public procurement to challenge class, race and gender inequalities and transform employment conditions amongst the low-paid, and choke off the undercutting which feeds the successes of the far right. 10, protect people living in poverty from a future Conservative government spending cuts. Index benefit levels and the minimum wage to retail price index. Now, it seems to me these are just 10 ideas. It's an exercise in political will to do them. These are not major stumbling blocks that can only be resolved over the next few years. They can be done over the next weeks and months. And there's many more. We could introduce a national civic service for all young people to help those not in employment, educational training as the spectre of mass youth unemployment returns. We're in danger of becoming a nation of strangers. Reconnect the excluded and rebuild trust across our social divisions. Romero once said, "Those with a voice must be the voice of the voiceless." That's why we should introduce an amnesty for unregularised migrants in this country suffering appalling abuses from landlords, employers and criminal gangs. To me, the policies are there, and it is all about policy. It's not about Alan or Gordon or David. That talk is another morbid symptom of Labour's decline. Who you throw in front of the train is irrelevant. Politics is much, much more than this. These ideas are policies for the next few months. In the medium term, there's more, so much more to do. Building a progressive agenda for Europe, building a new alliance for a sustainable planet, building a new programme to confront enduring patterns of poverty and inequality. Literally, our aim is to build the good society. It was ever thus. It will be the great challenge of our age. It requires political will and energy. Now, the hallmark to me of this conference has been its energy. Edison once said, "Restlessness and discontent are the first necessities of progress." It seems to me today Compass has both in abundance. We're under attack and many of us are on our knees. But now is the time to rise up and move forward. We can't return to the failed ideas that got us in this mess. Literally, there is no turning back. So let's fight together for the future and understand that we can win, and it is imperative that we do so. Thank you very much indeed.